Do you believe you truly understand the people in your life? You might think you can spot when someone is toxic or when their behavior is simply not okay. But the most significant dangers are often hidden. The most destructive people can appear charming and kind. They might even be close family members you trust completely. While you watch out for obvious problems, you might be letting in something much worse. You could be letting other people's unconscious minds invade your own mind. A famous psychologist, Carl Jung, studied these hidden forces. He showed that our conscious minds do not control most of our actions, thoughts, and deepest feelings. This is true for everyone you meet. The real danger is when someone is unaware of their own inner darkness. This darkness then looks for another person. That other person, the host for their darkness, could be you. Have you ever really stopped to consider this possibility in your own life? Think about it now. How many times have you felt completely drained of energy after you talked with someone? Has someone ever unfairly blamed you for something you did not do? Have you been made the hero of a problem that wasn't yours? Jung called this projection. It's when someone puts their own issues onto you completely. When this happens, you stop being a real person to them. You become a symbol, like a mirror, an enemy, or a hero they have just imagined. The scariest part is that you often don't even know you are caught in this game. You think you are just being a helpful or mature person. Meanwhile, you are sinking into their psychological problems. You try to solve conflicts that are not yours. You are being manipulated by hidden forces from their mind. Jung said the biggest dangers don't come from people who are mean on purpose. They come from people who don't understand their own minds and feelings. These people are not evil, but they are very dangerous. Their danger is quiet and sneaks in slowly. It comes through small comments and loaded silences. This continues until you start to doubt yourself and your own reality. When you lose touch with yourself, you become a part of their inner darkness. Maybe this is happening to you right now. It could be in a relationship, a friendship, at work, or even with your own family members. Perhaps you are blaming yourself for it. You might be wondering what is wrong with you. The real answer is that nothing is wrong with you. The problem is how you are being used. You are like a container for someone else's unconscious thoughts and feelings, which is a heavy burden to carry. We will now look at 6 types of emotionally dangerous people. These types act from inner forces they don't understand, which makes them very destructive to others. First, imagine living with someone who blames you for everything they feel. They make you feel responsible for emotions you never caused in the first place. At first, they might seem fragile and sensitive, but over time, you realize you are in a battle that is not yours to fight at all. This person is the unconscious manipulator. They are not aware of their own emotional wounds, so they project them onto you as a way to survive. Jung said that what we don't face in ourselves, we will meet as our fate. Often, this fate is a person who is very close to us. The unconscious manipulator is controlled by their past traumas and emotions. Instead of looking inside, they aim all of their inner conflict directly at you. This person lives in a state of constant projection. They don't see the real you. They see a lost part of themselves and react to that instead. They often play the victim. Everything that happens is someone else's fault. When they feel angry or sad, they will always say it is because of you. This twisting of reality is so subtle that you begin to question yourself. You wonder if you were insensitive or if you said something very wrong. This is how the manipulation works without any shouting. It is emotional, unconscious, and very effective at controlling you and making you feel responsible for them. The only way to protect yourself is to become more aware. You must recognize the patterns and cut the invisible ties to their emotional drama. Now, let's talk about the mask people wear. Not all danger is obvious. Sometimes it comes from someone who seems too perfect with a constant, ready smile. We live in a time of appearances. Looking good seems more important than actually being good. Jung saw this as a very serious modern-day problem. When someone identifies too much with their social mask or persona, they lose touch with their real self. They start to distort the people around them. The persona is the mask we use to fit in. It's not bad on its own. We all use one to be a doctor, a friend, or a parent. The problem starts when a person believes they are only their mask. The mask sticks to their face, and their true, authentic self gets locked away deep inside. This person is a master of being superficial. They say what others want to hear and always act the right way, avoiding any type of conflict. But behind this perfect image, their soul is in trouble. The more they keep up the act, the more they suffocate who they truly are inside. If you live with this person, the impact is deep. You can feel that something is not right, but you just can't quite name what it is. There is no real depth in your talks. Everything feels like it has been rehearsed. They also expect you to be perfect and to play along. If you show a real emotion, like pain or doubt, they get uncomfortable. Anything that reminds them of their own hidden feelings becomes too much to handle. This is a big threat to knowing yourself. When someone lives only to be accepted by others, they become a hostage to their own fake image. Living with a person like this can make you doubt your own feelings. You start to police yourself and hide parts of you that don't fit. When someone hides their true feelings for too long, those feelings don't just go away. They build up in the unconscious and become a shadow. This leads us to another dangerous type of person, the owner of the repressed shadow. They refuse to see their own dark side until it suddenly explodes. This person seems very controlled and polite, but underneath that calm appearance, there is a powerful force that is just about ready to finally break free. Everything they think is wrong or ugly about themselves gets pushed down. It is not dealt with. It is just repressed deep inside their own mind. This is the owner of the repressed shadow. This person tries to be good and light all the time, until their inner darkness finally takes over control. Jung taught us a lot about this shadow. He said it's everything a person refuses to see in themselves. It is the part of you that is hidden. The shadow is not some evil thing out in the world. It is inside of you. It is the hate, envy, and desires you pretend you don't have. What you reject in yourself does not vanish. It becomes your shadow. Jung said if you don't make it conscious, it will direct your entire life. This person does not seem dangerous at first. In fact, they are often admired for being so disciplined and helpful. But there is something strange about them. They cannot stand weakness in other people. They react badly to anyone who is spontaneous. Intense emotions from others make them very uncomfortable and judgmental. They always seem tense but never explode, until one day they do. When the explosion finally happens, it is often very shocking and truly devastating. This person is always on guard emotionally. They don't let themselves feel things, so they judge other people who do feel their emotions more freely. They become moralistic and controlling. This is all an attempt to keep their own unconscious feelings under very tight control, so nothing gets out of hand. The more repressed their shadow is, the more brutal it will be when it finally appears. You can see this in people who overreact to small things. Your shadow also has good things, like hidden strength and creativity. But when ignored, all of this can turn into a poison that hurts relationships. Living with this person is like walking through a minefield. You never know what will set them off. This repression often comes from feeling superior. This leads to our next type, the moral controller. This person uses guilt as a tool to control you and make you feel bad for your choices. Not all punishment comes from a weapon. Some people use rules, beliefs, and morals. They say they are ethical, but they are just trapping others. They build a cage made of guilt and shame for others. Jung knew that when morality is used as a mask, it is a sneaky form of control. This is the moral controller. Instead of looking at their own shadow, they project it onto you. They condemn you for things they don't accept in themselves. You have probably met someone like this. They are always pointing their finger at others, but never take a good look at themselves in the mirror. They act like they are morally superior. They do this because they desperately need to maintain this perfect image of themselves as being a good person. The moral controller believes they are doing a good thing. They think they are helping or saving you, which makes their influence even more toxic. Their criticism is disguised as help. They might say things like, "I am only telling you this for your own good," to make it sound better. But their truth is not neutral. It is full of their own projections. They see evil in you to maintain the illusion of their own purity. This makes them blind and dangerous. They are completely unable to see the complex and nuanced nature of what it means to be a human being. If you are close to someone like this, you might feel guilty all the time. You may feel like you are always doing something wrong or are judged. You start to repress your own natural and spontaneous self. You change yourself to fit an ideal that isn't yours, losing your own identity. This dynamic is very common in rigid families or groups. These groups often confuse being obedient with being a virtuous and morally good person. This person does not want truth. They want to have control. When they cannot control the world, they start to control the inner world of others. But there is another type who is even more unpredictable. This is the complexed person. They are completely dominated by their own unconscious feelings. Imagine living with someone who is sweet one moment and explosive the next. A compliment can suddenly turn into a demand, or a joke into an attack. No matter what you do, it feels like you are walking on unstable ground. This is what it is like to be with a person dominated by unconscious complexes. For Jung, complexes are pockets of emotion and memory in our unconscious. They can take control of our minds at any moment without any warning. They are created by past traumas and psychic wounds. These complexes cause people to react not to the present moment, but to echoes of their past. A simple comment can trigger an old feeling of being rejected or hurt. The person nearby, you, ends up paying the price for this old wound. The complexed person doesn't realize they are being guided by these internal forces. When they react with rage or sadness, they believe it is rational. But it is not a rational response. They are just reliving old, undigested emotions from their past. This does not happen all the time, however. There are emotional explosions mixed with moments of clarity and regret. This makes the relationship very confusing and also highly addictive for the other person. You start to think, they are not always like this. You remember the good times, and this is what keeps you emotionally hooked into the difficult relationship. But those good moments are always followed by sudden breaks. You find yourself in the middle of an emotional storm that you cannot possibly understand. You try to fix things by adapting and shrinking yourself. You start to avoid certain topics and measure every word you say to keep the peace. You do all this to avoid waking the monster inside the other person. But the truth is that you are not the one who awakens it. That monster is always there, waiting for any small trigger to emerge. When it does emerge, it consumes everything and everyone that is around it. You start to doubt yourself, your memory, and your own feelings. Without realizing it, you are being taken over by the other person's unconscious mind. Now we come to the final and most dangerous type. This person doesn't shout or explode. Instead, they consume your energy until you have nothing left. This is the psychic vampire. They drain you not with violence, but with constant neediness and demands. They make you feel responsible for their happiness. They want your energy. This is a very subtle and sneaky form of emotional draining. They need your constant attention and comfort every single day. Behind this neediness is a deep emptiness. It is a void that is not yours to fill, and you will never be able to fill it for them. You start by offering them support, then your time. Soon, you tolerate emotional abuse in the name of being an understanding person and a good friend. You then realize that all your energy has been drained away. You no longer know where the other person ends and where you actually begin. The exhaustion you feel is profound and deep. It is not just physical. It feels like your very soul is being slowly devoured day after day. Psychic vampires do not want to grow up. They want other people to carry them through life. The danger is not just exhaustion, but losing yourself. You start to feel guilty for wanting your own space. You feel selfish for wanting silence, or cold for wanting to have some distance from them. The psychic vampire is a master at reversing the roles. They turn from the victim into the accuser, making you the one who is in the wrong. The way out is to make the unconscious conscious. This applies to how we see others, and also how we see our own selves and our actions. Maybe you have been one of these types at some point. None of us are perfect or immune. We all have a shadow and our own inner pain. The difference is in who has the courage to look inside. Some people choose to project their inner weight and all their problems onto other people. This has been a mirror to look at these hidden dynamics. If you've listened this far, it means you are ready to see them and to break free. This is the first and most powerful step to true freedom. It is not about blaming others, but about taking back control over your own mind.